People drive a lot these days because of the way we've designed our communities. Even though most trips are less than 1 mile long, still most people are driving. The reason is because it's easier to drive than it is to walk or to bike or to take public transit.
This is the story of why we drive so much and how we might stop.
Historically, in Silicon Valley, we have tended to build the ranch-style single-family detached home, and that's what we call sprawl these days.
Which is where you just continue what's known as greenfield development. So you put housing projects, single-family dwellings, sort of the white picket fence American dream version, on land that has grass or trees or even wetlands.
And the results of spreading ourselves out this way are?
Most of the things we want are a car's drive away, as opposed to a walk away.
Anytime you want to go somewhere, you have to get in your car and drive.
And what are the side effects of cars?
40% or more of our greenhouse gas emissions are directly from individual auto use.
22% of San Mateo County 5th, 7th, and 9th graders are already overweight or obese.
And then there's asthma.
Sadly, living near Highway 101 or some other major artery turns out to be a major risk factor for getting asthma.
Our current spread-out housing style also makes housing extremely expensive.
So in San Mateo County, the housing costs are among the highest in the nation. As a result, even people like police officers and firefighters have trouble purchasing a home. For a long time on the peninsula, the de facto affordable housing policy was more or less drive till you qualify. In other words, people drove as far as they could till they found a mortgage they could afford.
Green space is also an issue.
It's important to recognize that there are a lot of values associated with open space, such as hiking, biking, aesthetics. People enjoy just seeing it there. And then I mentioned ecological services. Wildlife habitat is one. Being able to absorb water into the watershed, carbon sequestration, and obviously, climate change is kind of the main threat, at least at a global sense for environmental concern. And so
but we can't just stop building.
The population in San Mateo County and Santa Clara County and throughout the region actually does grow.
1.7 million more jobs and 2 million more people by 2035 in the Bay Area.
The state of California will grow by a city the size of Los Angeles every 7 years, or a city the size of San Jose every 2 years.
One of the things that does come up is this idea of if we don't build it, they won't come. But the truth is that in the Bay Area, we know that a lot of people want to live here, and for good reason. 2/3 of the growth happening in the state of California is from natural causes, people who live here having babies here. If you take out immigration to the Bay Area, you still have a tremendous amount of growth here in Silicon Valley.
But we can solve these problems by spreading out less.
As housing advocates, our vision for development is not just any housing anywhere, but the right kind of housing in the right locations.
In an ideal world, your house would be within a 1/4 mile of a grocery store, movie theater, school, maybe a handful of restaurants that provide enough mix that you wouldn't go to the same one all the time. Basic things that people tend to do on a daily or weekly basis.
We want to have homes that are built not only by transit, but also where you can shop. So we want to have the housing along with retail, along with the schools.
And where can we put such housing developments?
One of the things that a lot of cities say, or you'll hear them say, is, we can't build anymore here, we're built out. And that's true in a lot of cases. But it's not a reason to not be building. We are at the point where we are recycling our land and reinventing our cities so that we're redeveloping existing parcels that have had development on them for years and years and years. But these are the old strip malls. These are things like a town and country village with a vast sea of parking around it that we can be redeveloping and reinventing in a way that creates that pedestrian-friendly, walkable, wonderful retail hub.
So for example, northern Santa Clara County is considered a smart spot for growth. There's already a density of jobs.
The kind of built environment where people can get to and from work, and we also need to be very importantly, building homes close to where the jobs and services are at.
There's going to be a great market for transit-oriented development.
You know, today 1 in 10 folks are over the age of 65, and 20 years from now it's expected to be 1 in 5.
People who, you know, are getting on in years are not going to be as comfortable. Perhaps you're not even able to live in big 4,000 square foot, you know, multi-level homes.
The health department did a survey of the attitudes of baby boomers about the kind of housing they'd like to live in the future. They actually want to move to more transit-oriented housing, to more livable communities.
The other end of the age spectrum is also expected to grow, and the middle is expected to shrink. When you think about what kinds of homes those demographics want, it is the walkable downtown urban type of community where you have more transportation choice and you don't necessarily have a lawn and a garden you have to manage.
And we know how to do it.
For example, we're here at the Village at the Crossing. It's 228 senior apartments, and it's just across the street from the shopping mall and the BART station. There's bus service on El Camino, and it's really...
Redwood City in particular is a model because they've built around the Caltrain station. They've reduced the traffic on their streets, and in particular the speed at which the cars move. Another example is their lovely plaza, which invites people to sit at tables and to engage in conversation or simply to sit and drink a latte and enjoy the beautiful outdoors.
Santana Row is one of the first ones that comes to people's minds, and when it was originally built, people seemed to think it was a little bit like Disneyland, but people vote with their feet and their dollars, and if you go to Santana Row any time of day, it is bumping.
We're very proud of the initiative in the peninsula that runs all the way from San Mateo through Santa Clara called the Grand Boulevard Initiative. Imagine if El Camino were not the scar that it is today, really dividing our neighborhood, but if it were a destination. Imagine El Camino as a transit-rich, walkable, bikeable street that runs through San Mateo all the way into Santa Clara. The opposition to so much development is that it will bring in more traffic. But the truth is we know from many studies that housing built along transit corridors actually brings in people who drive less than the people who are here already.
What does this 20 units on this acre really look like? I mean, a lot of people, I think, without any frame of reference may just think of a block, you know, with windows in it, like a giant square. And in fact, there's a lot of really attractive units that are very in sync with the neighborhoods.
I've had the experience of persuading some of those naysayers by taking them on tours and allowing them to see how nicely a multifamily dwelling can look.
Many people see the advantages.
There are many great community members out there who are putting themselves out in front of their neighbors, in front of their city councils, and expressing their concerns about the effects of climate change, sea level rise, concerned about obesity in the schools, and just a desire for communities that just feel more vibrant and safe and walkable.
And it's not only about us.
It's about what we're doing for the benefit of our future generations.